Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. In the next episode in my 2023 Halloween Mayothon, where I'm going to be talking about horror movies of different kinds this month. And this channel is now pretty much going to be very much an offbeat channel. So it's really Halloween horror pretty much all year. It's not just going to be in October, but let's have fun with this anyway this month. All right, so film that I actually watched tonight is a film that I've seen a bunch of times in my life. This was not my first viewing, but it is a new DVD, or I should say Blu-ray, that I got of it. It's Vincent Price in the classic 1953 film House of Wax. Now, this particular release specifies 3D. 3D. But I don't have a 3D ability to play this because I do not have a 3D machine or a 3D television set. I don't even know if those things are still popular. 10 years ago, they were popular and they were selling. I don't even know. This is not the kind of 3D home movie where you can have the old glasses and put the 3D glasses and watch it. So it's not made for that. So you really have to have, as it says on the back, 3D HD TV, glass. You have to have glasses and a Blu-ray 3D player. Well, that sounds like it was a complete fad. I don't know. You tell me if that stuff is still available. I don't know. Anyway, as I say, I've seen this film quite a number of times before, and in particular, I saw it in 3D in the theater. Now, not when it first came out. It came out in 1953. I wasn't born yet, okay? That's a little before my time. But my mom took me to see House of Wax in 3D in New York City in a big theater in 1971 when I was about 9 years old. And that's the first time I'd ever seen a 3D movie before of any kind. And it was quite a magical experience. I remember it pretty well. Yeah, that thing was bigger than life. It looked fantastic. And I remember Vincent Price in the haunting makeup of the burned victim. And he had one lip that was kind of curled down and kind of really terrifying, actually. Now, this movie is a remake from Warner Brothers of an earlier film that they did in 1933. This was 20 years previous. The 33 film is called Mystery of the Wax Museum. And I've already done a video on that. If you want to see my review of Mystery of the Wax Museum, search for it here. You can go in the playlists. And if you look at playlists under 1930s and 1940s horror, you will see Mystery of the Wax Museum. Well, so as I say, this was a remake. Now, which version do I like better? The 1933 version starring Lionel Atwill as the crazed sculptor, or do I prefer the Vincent Price version? They're both good. They are both good. Solid, both of them. Maybe this one has a little hair better preference for me than the 33 version. Vincent Price was doing all kinds of movie roles prior to this. He didn't really become a big star and a household name until this movie. In a lot of ways, House of Wax is what established Vincent Price. Finally, he played character parts, and in particular, horror movie villains and villains of other kinds too. But he really took off because this movie, House of Wax in 1953, did fantastic business and was constantly revived. As a matter of fact, I saw it again at the age of 20 in 3D in a theater in 1982, I believe it was. They reissued this again. So I've seen it in the theater, I think a third time too. I think 3 times in 3D in the theater with the 3D glasses. So I was able to experience it. And of course, in this film, there are a lot of effects that are designed to take advantage of the 3D process. I mean, there's a fight at the beginning where things are thrown out at the audience and a chair is thrust out at the audience. You have to duck, and there's a real good scene sort of in the middle of the movie with a guy playing paddleball. He's a paddleball expert. He's bouncing a paddle to people that are watching in the theater, right in your face, so to speak. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This movie is fun, and it has a little creepy factor to it. And Vincent Price is really good in it. And I think this is one of the very first official color horror films. And let me explain. It's not really the first officially because the 1933 previous Mystery of the Wax Museum had been filmed in a an early color process, and there's color horror films before, this, but this was really the most lavish, really like pro shot looking, Technicolor appearance film. It really was done in really, really like classy fashion. It's kind of a period piece. It takes place in the early 1900s. Everybody's dressed to fit the part. And Vincent Price plays a sculptor, a very talented sculptor who has a museum. And he has a partner that decides he'll burn it down for the insurance money. So he burns the museum down and takes off and leaves Vincent Price's character there for dead. And he winds up emerging later. This film doesn't, I don't think this film specifies how many years later. I know the 1933 version specifies how many years it's been. But he's there, and he decides to open up a brand new museum, and this time specialize in a lot of the macabre, the horror, things that people want to see, people that like, murder and like to watch violence and horrific stuff. So he kind of designs it to be like that. Well, there's also at the same time a very ugly monster character in a long flowing black cape and black hat that stalks around and prowls and can barely walk. And he goes around and he goes to the mausoleums, and he goes to the hospitals. I said mausoleums. I don't know. This is not scripted, folks. He goes, the morgue is the word I'm looking for. He goes into the morgue. Mausoleum, not yet. They didn't get as far as the mausoleum yet. They're only at the morgue at this stage. And he steals freshly dead corpses, this creature, and presumably furnishes them to Vincent Price, the sculptor, who actually uses them to create his new waxworks. He just covers them in wax and passes them off as his works of art, There's also a part in here as his assistant, his mute assistant, of course, played by a younger Charles Bronson. So Charles Bronson is in this movie a bit too. Carolyn Jones plays a bimbo in this movie. Kind of annoying, actually. But she has a few funny lines. Carolyn Jones, who played Morticia in The Addams Family. Her character, even though she's kind of like ditzy, she has a few funny moments in here. But there's some comedy here, but there's horror too. And I don't remember before that too much makeup like this being done. The makeup that was done for this is really, as I say, kind of unsettling, and it's a good looking creature that they make out of this, and I really think it's effective. Yeah, so it's a beautiful looking picture. The director, I gotta say it right, Andre de Toth. Actually, the irony is he made a 3D picture, even though he himself was blind in one eye, or he only had one eye, and he wore an eye patch. I don't know if he was blind or what the situation was, but he wore an eye patch to conceal it, and he actually couldn't see 3D anyway, yet he made this classic film. This is one of the classics of the 1950s. As I say, it spearheaded Vincent Price's career as a horror actor par excellence, and like I said, he's great in this. I like Vincent Price. He's very understated in here, very laid back, but yet he can be also horrific when he needs to be. He does a great job in this movie, Vincent Price. Yeah, I recommend this film. It's a fun film. You really should see it in 3D if there's any way you can do that. If you have a 3D television and player and whatever else you need, glasses and everything else. Otherwise, wait for them to bring it back to a revival theater in your neighborhood again, and you could see it in 3D in the theater as I did. But I'm sorry I couldn't see it in 3D here. But yeah, I really enjoyed House of Wax this time. And as I say, it's been many rides for this one, and worth it.